achievements prove that when Gambians unite around a common purpose, we are capable of remarkable things. Now we must unite again, not simply to change leaders, but to transform systems. Not simply to win elections, but to win the future of this nation. The Gambian River flows through our narrow land, connecting us, nourishing us, dividing us. Just that river has carved its path through centuries. We must now carve a new path for us, one that honors our past while embracing our future, one that values both our indigenous wisdom and our contemporary aspiration, one that recognizes that true strength lies not in the past of one, but in collective will of men. Today, we plant a seed. We do not know if we will sit in this seed, in that seed. But we plant it because we believe in a Gambia where youth do not need to cross rivers to find opportunity. We plant it because we believe in a Gambia where farmers can feed their families and their nation. We plant it because we believe in a Gambia where systems work, where leaders serve, where citizens participate, where every one of us, regardless of your background, can live with dignity and respect. Change is inevitable. The only question is whether we will save it or are saved by it. But change is inevitable.
Without wasting much time, I will invite Mr. Basiru Yai to give us a short speech. maa ngi leen di nuyu ñëpp ku ci nekk sa tur ak sa jëmm di la jox loxo foo mun ci nekk ci réewum Gambia ci biir ak ci biti ñu ngi nuyu mag ak ndaw ñu ngi nuyu góor ak jigéen am na solo lool wax ko ci olof su ko defee ñëpp mun cee jot li ñuy njëkk a wax rek mooy xibaar bi tukkee na ci Bill for National Transformation jëm ci Gambien bi fu mun ci nekk dañuy wax rek ne ñun ay doomi Gambia la te doomi réew dañuy wax rek ne nit du ko tànnal boppam su fekkoon ne ñun ñooy tànnal suñu bopp ban réew lañ nekk xëy na sax ñu mun a wax ne ñun ñoo choose pour nekk Gambia waaye yàlla moo ñu def ay Gambia dama dee wax tamit ne nit xeetam du koy tànnal boppam nit waajuram du koy tànnal boppam yii yàlla jiitu na ci yii jiitu nañu ci yii kon su ko defee nag suñu réew wala suñu xeet wala suñu waajur war ñoo wutale li ñu war a wutale leneen la war a doon waaye warut a nekk ñii parce que ñu nekk kenn ci ñun moo ko tànnal boppam su fekkee ne nag ñun yàlla moo ñu tànnal ñu nekk ay Gambien kon li ñu war ci réew mi mooy ñu bëgg réew mi ñu liggéeyal réew mi ndax réew mi moo ñu jur mooy suñu yaay Gambia mooy suñu yaay moo ñu yar moo ñu jàngal ba pare jox ñu liggéey ci liggéey boobu ñu amee ci expérience kon jot na nag ñu ñëw ci yaay jooju dimbale ko préparé ko ba ay doomam yi ñëw ëllëg ñu mën a xam ne ñoom day seen yaay amoon na ay doom loolu moo war Gambien bu nekk léegi nag liggéey boobu li ci jiitu mooy bëgg dafa am solo lool ak bëgg sax moo tax ñun ñëpp ñu nekk ndax ku nekk rek ngay borom kër nga dem ba yàlla may la njaboot bëgg moo tax njaboot boobu yëpp ñëw bëgg mooy cosaan ni lu nekk yàlla sax dafa ne dama bëgg rek amal kon réew mi nañ ko bëgg Bill for National Transformation joni bii mu jël joni la bu nga xam ne foundation bi mooy mbëggeel musuñoo dañ di bëgg Gambia nag musuñoo dañ di bëgg Gambia musuñoo dañ di sopp Gambia ndax mbëggeel googu sax moo accumulate ba tey ñu agsi fii ndax fii nekkul ne da nga fiy tëb rek ak fii am na lu bari luñ liggéey ay at ci gannaaw moo ñu préparé pour ñu mën a agsi fii kon bëgg nañ ko tey waaye nag du tey rek la mbëggeel gi tàmbali mbëggeel gi musuñ cee jóg réew nag soo ko bëggee naka nga koy bëggee da ko nit mënoo bëgg dara te xamuloo bëggeel moom ñun ñi fi nekk nii yëpp ku ci am jabar wala jëkkër kooku da nga ko xam gis ci moom lu tax nga bëgg ko tax nga bëgg ko kon dara balaa nga ko bëgg da nga koy xam jamono yële si gannaaw rek am na ku ma laajte Gambien yi bëgguñ seen réew ma ne ko déedéet dañ xamul seen réew ñun question boobu lañu rees ñun dañ wax ne nekkuñ ne dañ bañ réew mi waaye dañ ko xamul ndax fépp foo munti dem la nga fay fekk bàyyi nga ko fii naa ne am na benn suñ joni bu nga xam ne ñu ngi doon dem Fass Njaga Coy fii ñu tese ak benn waay Nigérien la mu ne mu ngi dëkka si dëkk yooyu la nekk mu ne booy bagwee ñu ngi ko fay bàyyi di dem bagwee waaye moom mu ngi fay liggéey ay hundreds of thousands dafa mel ni yaa ngi bàyyi sa réew di dem di ngay dem di uti mi ngi sa réew kon da nga ko xamul rek waaye bañuloo ko léegi nag su fekkee ne réew dañ ko war a bëgg te bëgg gi dañ bëgg bi xam moo ko jiitu looloo tax ñu def research yi waaye change is inevitable objective bi was to know the country moo tax secteur bu nekk du mbay mi du napp bi du wàllu environnement bi du liggéey amul benn secteur bu nga xam ne tey ci réew mi dugguñ fa def fa gëstu pour xam li nga xam ne nii moo fa am ci wàllu resources ak doxalin bi nga xam ne moo ci aju ndax mbëggeel ci réew da nga war a xam resources yi xam doxalin yi xam gis-gis yi xam pexe yi nga xam ne teg nañ ko pour réew mi mën a jógee ci resources boobu mu am te mënul laa jëriñ dara soppi ko ba nit ñi mën koo jëriñoo loolu mooy xam-xam bi te du loolu kese dañ def study ci wàllu politique waaye nag ñun suñuy study politique dañ ne nañ dem seet yàlla naka ban politique la def ba amal àdduna bi moo tax ñun suñ référence ci politique mooy yàlla subhanahu wa taala politique nag njëkk na bi mu amee aadama bi mu bindee aadama yóbbu ko ak awa yóbbu leen ca àjjana ba ñu nekk fa ba benn time mu génne leen indi leen àdduna ñu ne dañ fa lekk pom kon dafa mel ni moom dogaloon na ne àdduna dina am moo tax sabab boobu am kon yàlla dafay politique yàlla àdduna bii xam-xam bi mu wàcce yépp pour moom mooy kan ak naka leen ko war a jaamoo ci yenent la ko dee jaaral yenent yooyu foog mu def politique pour ñooñu mun a establish waaye logique yi politique yàlla mooy lan mooy yàlla subhanahu wa taala bi mu doon wàccee dama ciy jël few exemple rek pour ñu understand bi mu doon wàccee yent yàlla Moussa daf ko wàcce ci jamono boo xam ne miracle moo nekkoon ndam bi ku nekk ne man mun naa def njeber mu jox ko ci lu nga xam ne ku ko gis xam ne lii ëpp na doomu aadama léegi pour nit ñi xam ne kii kuñ war a topp la yent yàlla Esa daf ko wàcce jamono boo xam ne ñëpp a feebar mbas moo amoon lu mel ni Covid-19 ñëpp feebar mu def ci moom bu la xoolee rek nga tene yàlla def ci Esa nit su deeyee sax su ko raayee sax mu dekki ba dekki na Sam ibnu Nooyin koo xam ne deewoon na ay junne at ba ki wane bàmmeel bi sax dafa gumba woon mu raay bëtam yi mu gis mu dekkil ko lan moo tax yàlla def ci moom loolu pour nit ñi xam ne this is beyond humanity yeneen ci yàlla Muhammad saa salaam dafa yàlla daf ko yónni woon jamono boo xam ne éloquence wax moo doon ndam ku nekk di bëgg a wax bu éloquent wax boo xam ne soo ko waxee rek ñëpp ne ci yàlla jox ko alxuraan nga xam ne baat bi sentence bi wax la baat bi wax la lettres yi sax wax la nga gis muy wax alif lam mim gëlëmal ñëpp ñu xam ne wax bi is beyond what humanity can take léegi ñun loolu daf ñu jàngal ne pour réew nit mun koo élif wala benn doole the saviors of every country must be picked from those ñi gën a xam te Gambia xam boobu dafay nekk di crisis yi réew bi di dund ndax gis nga ko fële miracle la fële feebar la woon fii mun a wax ñu nag Gambia fii suñ problème bi nga xam ne moom lañ nekk di dund tey mooy leadership crisis suñ njiit yëpp doole bi dañ ko sentence si ñoom ku leen xam baax le ku leen xam bëri le ku nekk si seen crew bi the friends and the enemies rek yëppam dox moo tax nga gis nit mu nekk nguur time boobu ñi ko xam ñëpp ñu ngi struggle waaye bi mu nekkee nguur rek ñoom ñëpp commencé dawal ay oto di dem dafa mel ni ñaari groupe la these are my friends I treat them good these are my enemies I don't care what happens the other side but anytime election comes su ootee jotee rek nga ñëw nga seet to throw them something waaye jëleen ku am hikma la mu ne cuuji la ak sirax yi cuuj soo ko sànnee ñam lan nga bëgg mu def da nga bëgg mu màgg waaye sirax soo ko sànnee ñam da nga ko bëgg a jàpp reereer mu ne that is the theory of politics bu nekk di xew kon biñ xamee ne nag xam-xam ci wala njub because political crisis yëpp bakkan bi moo la sonal léegi ñu ne kon nañ leen fexe ñu raxas suñ bakkan bi duñ gis suñ bopp duñ gis li ñu ànd ak waaye dañoo gis réew mi one number two su fekkee ne développement mooy yoon développement mooy electricity courant kon problème am na because ñun ci suñ research ak suñ gëstu gis dem nañ ba gis ne development life cycle la da nga am yu bëri yu nga xam ne dañ war a work together pour development mën a am one of those you have the resources but you need structures bi nga amee structures da nga need infrastructure in fact li ñuy oo nii yëpp ne def nañ ko loolu moo war a tax ñu ñëpp ñu tàcc leen topp seen gannaaw si ñun it doesn't make logic because soo ñëwee si infrastructure sax infrastructure there are different types of infrastructure dañu am lu ñuy wax physical infrastructure mooy courant bi da nga koy gis tali bi da nga ciy dox mooy ndox da nga koy naanee loolu infrastructure la waaye am na lu ñuy wax digital infrastructure du noonu am na lu ñuy wax social infrastructure lan mooy digital infrastructure mooy the internet the data and the systems ndax loolu am nañ ci liñ soxla lan mooy infrastructure social infrastructure school infrastructure la education infrastructure la hôpital infrastructure la that is what we call social infrastructure because tabaxal yoon bu la neex waaye bu nit ñu wër kan moo ciy dawal oto léegi infrastructure amul foofu institutional infrastructure am na that is the legal system bu nga xam ne moo ñu war a right and not to be selective but justice to all lii su fekkee ne da nga wax ne development means just pick two out of all the possible infrastructures rek nga ne ñu tàccu la yow yaa ngi develop kon yow your development is not what development is that's why ñun dañ gis ne there is an development ontological development failure ni ñu divine na ne development loolu development so development is just you pick one and two and say man tàccu leen ma development déedéet in fact su fekkoon ne infrastructure bi yëpp mat na waaye structures nekkuñ fa waaye implementation phase bi ñëw establishing institution yu doy yu mun a implement ba pare at the end of the day lan moo am solo what is the economic benefit bi nit ñi di am si lii parce que démb am na ku ma laaj mu ne ma tabax nañ yoon ma ne ko yow lan nga ci gis tey ci sa poos ne yoon boobu indil na la su ko yoon dafa war a jokkale ay place bagage yi daan jógee fii di léet balaa moo àgg fële mu gaaw bu gaaw a àgg price bi dafa war a seer ndax gis nga ko mu ne ma déedéet ma ne ko yoon kay bu amee time bi ngay travel dafa war a gàtt kon price bi dafa war a yomb pass bi dafa war a yomb ndax pass bi yomb na mu ne ma déedéet ma ne kon yoon bi ban njëriñ la nañ ñu bàyyi di nelaw si xel ñu ñuy nelawal di ñu gëmloo ne ay nañ yoon baa ngi nii kon yoon dafa war a am ban essence ban interest la moo war a tax ñu nit yoon because soo fi tabaxee yoon te amuloo di right setup foreigner yi ñooy ñëw daw ci yoon boobu liggéey sa xaalis exploité dem ñibbi and that's exactly what is happening in the Gambia right now that development that ontological failure ñun moo tax ñu establish belief for national transformation that is why we have a very genuine cause indil ku la neex mu toog fii su ñëwee ñu wan ko ne we have a genuine cause te loolu kenn mënu koo génne léegi su fekkee ne nag loolu am na ñu ne ok nañ leen dem dajale xam-xam ñu dajale xam-xam te waaye xam-xam bii lenn rek lañ ci am lañ ci mën ñun ay Gambien te cause boobu lañ jël mooy nit ku nekk yaa dafa def ci yow xam-xam nit ku nekk yàlla dafa def ci yow wil parce que tey kum neex ñëw nga kum naxari ñëwuloo loolu wil la la neexee nga toog si kër gi su la neexee nga ñëw yàlla dafa def ci ñun sensory response mooy gis ak dégg ak yooyu dafa am njëriñ yàlla def ci ñun nuanciation ñu mun a wax gis nga ñeenti yàlla def si ñun pare nañ pour jël ko yëpp jox ko Gambia to do the national service suñ kàttan suñ alal suñ man-man suñ lépp pare nañ pour jël ko jox ko Gambia waaye ndax Gambia ni dinañ receive message bi toppañu that's another thing but that is not in my hands somebody told me yéen li ngay ni def nii est-ce que Gambien yi am nañ si interest ma ne ko that's not what I can control. What I can control is I will do. Whether they will come, that is not my. I don't even care if they come or not. Because loolu si loxo suñu borom la leen. yaa dafa yéen caal moo saa sallam innaka laa tahdi man ahbabta. walakin Allaahu yuhdi man yashaa. yuhdi man yashaa. yow dangay oote jëm ci yoonu njub. waaye njub nekkul ci loxo nag sa loxo nag si man la nekk man maay dugal si xol bu ma neex ma def ko mu jub. kon ñun liñ mun mooy we can pave the path. But whether they join us or not, that is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So léegi ñun li ñuy def mooy def li ñu war. Because su dul loolu dangaa toog fii nga ne ok Gambien yi duñ nangu man duma def yow ak ñoom yéen a yem. nañ leen fexe ñu am bëgg-bëgg te bëgg-bëgg bi bu mu em xoolal fii lan lañ wax knowledge unity action bi su ñëwut amul njëriñ. wax kese in fact ñun dañ gëm ne sax nañ ñaan ma ne leen waa baax na lool nañ leen ñaan waaye ñaan dafa am 3 levels. First level bi mooy yàlla may ma. Second level bi mooy nga jóg dox def itte. am na nag koo xam ne sax du ñaan dox rek lay def te alal lépp lu mu soxla yàlla jox ko because ñaan boobu moo gën a visible to the high eyes of God. nga xëy jóg takk sa bagage dem liggéey kooku la yàlla gën a gis ne moo soxla dan ki xëy toog ne yàlla may ma. baax na de yàlla may ma baax na but su la yàlla nangulee rek daf lay jox itte nga jóg uti. ñun nag dañ bëgg a ñaan ba pare liggéey moo tax ñu ne knowledge ñu def research ñu ne unity ñu ngi oo ñëpp moo tax ñu ne we will reject the strong man and establish the strong system. looloo tax unity bi nekk fa. dañoo push the strong man because strong man lim dee indi mooy sa bopp rek nga gis te bakkan yi doomu aadama dafa am ayib bu ci nekk mooy dafa am manki yu nekk ci bakkanam loolu is natural. waaye léegi nag moo tax système moo am njëriñ because système bi moo laa mun a guide ba manki bi su jógee système bi protect la you cannot do it. that is why operating within a system makes sense. Because anytime you lost yourself, the system will you hit the wall. Tey suñ defee fii school bi yëpp ñu def ko ay fence yow nga dem mandi gisatuloo nga ne da ngay dem hit wall bi mu ne la fii du bunta bi so you keep hitting ba nga dem si bunta bi. That is what a system is. It protects you and prevents you from doing the unlawful. nee na aussi movement bi wax na ñun ñëpp Gambie bi ñoo ko moom parce que mooy suñ yaay. defal nañu lim ñu war a defal léegi nag it's time for us to fay ko ñu jërëjëf. The message. Anyone who hears the message would know that these are issues that are easily relatable. That everyone can see the issues. If you're not seeing them, you are feeling them. So. Without wasting much time, we will go into the questions and answer sessions. We have a lot of media houses. We have personal a lot of media houses here. If you have questions, please you can come forward and then ask your question. Mr. Njai and Mr. White and the other executive members will take on your questions. That is even ruling the country. Everything is centered around the head of state. That's the culture of politics that on which he was hired, he was even selected, and he's serving as the president. So obviously, it's a strongman politics. Yeah, and then not even that. Politics is not only the head of state, but even the politics in institutions. That's exactly what happened. Every institution you go, everything revolves around somebody. He has to have the final say. People don't operate based on rules in the government, just like I have given an example. Yeah, if you need to fix a problem right now, you don't go to the procedures. You don't trust them. Yeah, so you look for somebody who can, be a proxy, somebody that can substitute you to fix the problem. This is why we are saying the strong man. The strong man, it's definitely one of the biggest problems that the Gambia faces. Everything is revolving around one person, whether it is the head of state, or ministers, or department heads, or directors, or whatever. Everything has to revolve around an individual, not following the rules. What does the rules say? That's why the question is, I'm sick, I'm going to the hospital. What are the procedures? Where can I get my care? No. One doctor nga mabole. One nurse nga mabole. That means people have already been carried away by the fact that there's a strong man, whatever. I think in subsequent discussions that we will have, people will get to understand.
In addition to that answer, if you also go to political parties, all the political parties that have been existing in these countries were built around an individual. And the moment that individual leaves office, that political party will pass. Or if that a political leader wishes not to step down, it will bring fragmentation because everything was centered around him or her. We've seen political movements or parties who have make a call to change this country. But then all of a sudden, when people started to respond to his or her cause, they shift to another party. And then that political party will pass. It's because it has been centered around a strong man. But if those political parties were built on a system, and leaders will just come and fit that system, even if that leader, whoever become their leader leaves, that political party will still maintain its principle. As he said, if you go to our government institutions, you will know as a director, based on the protocols, what is governing your institutions, you can do something without even getting an approval from the president or somewhere else. But then you have to debate. Do I have the approval from X, Y, or Z? Because everything is centered on somebody. So be without fear of it. You will not be wondering, okay, if I have to publish this, what is going to happen next? So that's what I just wanted to add to that question.
When it comes to whether PNP is going to be a political party or not, right now we've established and obviously we are going to graduate to a party. But the party is going to. That is why our programs is first of all the Gambians, bring information back. Awake the Gambians, trigger Gambians for them to feel the difference, the gaps, development gaps, political gaps, administration gaps, policy gaps. And then once we have that knowledge gap, which we have the Gambians ready for change, then the leader is obviously going to emerge and you will present it, if need be, to go to the 2026 election. But that at the moment we are thinking that is the third stage that we are talking about. At the moment, what we see is to try to trigger the Gambians, to try to awake the Gambians from sleep, to try to bridge the information gap so that we all at the same level. Because leadership to us it's like the third step. The first step is let Gambians understand, the status quo we are in terms of development, in terms of politics. Whether the way the situation is managed is the right approach. Then once we get to when we pass that phase, then the next phase then we open now is to see exactly if we can, get somebody out of the governing council leading the movement to represent the movement going for an election. But obviously, it's a movement, it's a political movement as we speak. But it's going to evolve. Okay, and what's the program we have for youth? I think that's also a very good question because if you look at the Gambia, I think around 60% of the population are youth. So whatever programs you have that does not actually use, definitely it's not realistic and it's not representative of the Gambia. And like I have said, there is a what political development failure. That is what they define development is not development. One of it is youths are excluded. You exclude the youths and you say you have a development plan. Look at the surplus. What does it say? It says jobs are 60% more correct. 60% of the population are saying that this current head of state is not helping in terms of giving out jobs or providing jobs. And if your population is youthful and currently there are no jobs to 60% believe they are not getting jobs because the head of state is not providing jobs. That means who is affected? The working age, and the working age are youth. I don't know if you see the logic. So therefore, belief for national transformation first is to say, okay, we need to, in the Gambia, what is formal? What is formal is what we call informal. What is realistic to us right now? The food on the table is provided by who? Jagati Jahat. But he is called formal, informal. For us to get to our workplace every day, is the van drivers that travel us to our workplace. They're informal. The guy who gets us fish is classified as informal. So what is important in this economy? It's the informals, is the fisherman, the tailor, the vendor. These are the people that hold the economy today, and we call them informal. And 90% of this group I have made mention, they youth. So one of the programs is to say we have to shift the informal sector to be formal. But that is what is real in the Gambia. If we say the Gambia right now, that is why when you go to university and learn all these fancy things, you don't have an industrialized economy. The economy is not industrialized. The economy, it's dem am sa ben yire ne ko dogal ma nga ñewal mako mané. Nga am sa buga tabax nga ne okay kay tabaxal. Ko buga fence nga ne kay fence am. Sa moto bi pan nga dem ne ko mané checkal mom legolé sa mané la bay ma change system bi ma def ko ma ñu. That's the reality on the ground. But yet, the system, it's definitely industrialized. So the first thing we want to shift the informal to the formal. Because look at it. Somebody who pays the whole funds, you see, this is tax, not so. And then, so do get motor, get fire road tax. These are all monies that accumulates to the government. But go to no take. So I'm here dog. So do the third day, because there's nothing covering him. What happens if you deliver? They give you 6 months. You know what? They pay you. So I'm here dom. The third day, the four of them jai. See not lolu. Don't be do na amdum nampa because fuck don't be do. So the youthful population, they are engaged in the informal sector, but that informal sector is excluded. When funds hit the country, they are not the people that they think of first. So we first of all formalize. Then second of all, the policies that we have in the Gambia, as a result, everybody is suffering, we make them speak to each other. He has a heart, a liver, and every other organ. But he creates systems to connect them. That's the nervous system, that's the endocrine system, that's the circulatory system. We can have different institutions, but there's no connection to connect these institutions to speak together. That is one of the major problems in the Gambia. So that we will fix. And once you fix this, every other thing will come. Yeah? So for youths, the whole agenda is for youths. Formalizing, giving them the skill we need. That is why even we've developed a model called 4:1 education. What did the white results show last 2 months? Only 5.1%. And the university entrance, what happens to the 94%? They can get to MDI, they can get to college, but at the end of the day, 90 or 88% of them are going to sit on the street. That is why the back way is calling. This is the hard fact. So we have established, we build a model called 4:1. If you read some of these things, you will see. And this model is saying, out of the 5 students, 4 of them are going to learn something that's in line with what the development needs in the Gambia. It's like we have a mismatch. Education does not match with development in the Gambia. So we want to force match it. Once you match it, youths are going to be captured because the 2024 census, what does it show? What does it show? 15 to 0 age is 40.8% of the population. That mass, if you put them into this wrong system of education, you are building roads, but you will never have Gambian engineers to fix the road or to build the next road. That's the fact. So that is why we've established this educational model to build Gambians that are going to own the future, not to follow people. Yeah? Not to be spectators.
Thank you. In addition to that, before Basu goes on that, if the education system is being reoriented, you don't need to spend 20 years on education. And at the end of the day, they will push you aside to say, you are not fit to work in office. 5, 6 years consecutive education, you should be able to do so. And that's the system BNT is going to introduce. Where while you are doing your secondary education, you already know, you've been exposed to what am I good at? Is it electrical engineering? Am I good at carpentry? Am I good at this and that? Then those who could not make it to university will be exposed to this. That is a model we have produced. Gambia has a resource that many of us do not know. And every country will have something special that Allah has given you that you should, use to be able to transform your country. If you go to UK, it's a tax-based economy because they don't have resources. Gambia has resources. We have the land, right? We have the river, and then we have a youthful population. The BNT governance or government is gonna concentrate on agriculture to utilize the water we have. 80% of the food we consume is being imported from other countries. Can't we grow what we eat? We have fresh water. Gambia depends on 3 months rainy season or 100 days rainy season. When we have a fresh water, can't we tap from that fresh water and then feed our country? We keep complaining about the currency. The currency appreciated. The currency will never depreciate. The currency shall never appreciate if we do not export something outside. And how are we going to do that? We must capitalize on our resources. And utilizing our resources, being the land or the river, we need the use. Other countries are the one using our resources. So BNT, in fact, is a youthful movement. That shows that the youth are our number one priorities. Answer that question.
We picked 60 communities in the Gambia, with them, let them do consultation. So if you sick, you go to the hospital, they take your blood samples, and then they do consultation. So we did the examination using the documents. But when we were done, we also went to people and do the consultation to understand everything of things. So when we were done, we outlined the findings, and every finding there were attached recommendations. So the political finding was the fact that the problem in the Gambia is politics of a strong party. So we said, okay, let's look for the politicians that are here, or the political parties, which of them is practicing a strong system. We go and support them, but none. That is why we established this one. Number two, I have made mention of it during my speech as well. The ontological field. You want to make me believe development. And even experts in this country, they will tell you they have built roads, they have built electricity. I'm giving it to you. You have resources, you need structures, you need infrastructure, then you need implementation institutions, then you have this. You tell me he has done 1 out of the 5, and we clap for you? I said, no, I'm going out to tell them that's not true. That is one of the things that foil this movement. There is a lot of contradiction, things that doesn't make sense. And everybody is saying, yes, it makes sense. So we want to come out to say, no, it does not make sense. Unless you go and redefine development for me. But development does not mean votes, does not mean foreign projects. They're saying, no, foreign projects are here. That's not development. They say, no, GDP growth, that's not development. Development is to reduce the poverty. That's development. To prepare a critical mass to be able to fit in the development in the gap, development needs. Standard education, standard and quality education. Good health and functioning systems. That's what development is. And okay, they get the roads. I told somebody, put 1 million in your pocket and you walk with me down the street. Before we finish 10 houses, 10 million is gone. Because every Gambian you speak with is a half a present problem. So the roads are here, electricity is here. There's a project that is giving the local people electricity, I'm sorry to say, the people in the urban area, in the rural area. Okay, what are they going to use the electricity for? Switch off and switch on? Switch off and switch on? Let's pick the fact. So development, there's an ontological failure. Doesn't make any sense. And this is what foiled us.
Yeah, in addition to that too, most of us here work in different departments or institutions. You have different experts here. who works in different institutions. And while we work in those institutions, we've been seeing problems from school time, before we graduate, before we attend university, before we obtain jobs. We've been seeing problems. At our workplaces, we've been seeing problems. And there are times when some of these problems were tackled by patriotic Gambians. Then we have the conviction that if we all believe that there's a problem, who's going to fix the problem for us? We will all agree that there's a problem. But if we sit in our office and say there's a problem, who's going to fix that problem? Then we said we have to leave our comfort zones and go back to the field and then try to fix those problems. Else nobody is going to fix the problem for us. So it's one of the things also that has really enticed us to leave our offices and then come and join the movement. Because what we are made to believe is a funny thing, and I will repeat it here. We go to high schools, or the school that I attended, I will not mention it to protect identity. They will say best students will go to science school, right? Next to best will go to commerce 2 or commerce. And then average students, I'm not undermining any, will go to arts. Some best students go to arts based on choice, right? But in the way our school system works, I'm just trying to interpret that for you. Instead of allowing people to choose wherever they feel like, if I want to be in arts, I go to arts because I have best resource to be in arts. And the concept Gambians have is those art students will be what? Our future leaders tomorrow. They will be the presidents because they will do government, right? And then they will do development studies at the university. Doing government, doing development studies, what else are you going to be? You are going to enter into politics. Then the person that you segregated at high school, telling them, no, you don't get the required mark to go to science. Now that person will contest and become your president. Who will oversee the whole country? Is that logical? Does that make sense? I'm putting it to you now. Does it make sense? So the system needs to be changed. If I want to do, like I'm a science student, I did pure science. I'm an health expert. Do I look like a politician to you today as we speak? I do not look like a politician. I look like a fisherman. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much. And we would like to go and take, but before that, let's take a few questions so that we wrap up and then we go and perform our. So we'll just do this. And we can confirm. And the president was a woman, the president, the chairman, the leader was a woman when we first initiated. Yes. And then along the way, it's a rough route, so some of them rough. We selected another one. The second one was also a woman. And the road is being rough again and it's rough. So now we take it up as men. We shoulder it to this stage. And as we've just said, you know, the openings, we've opened the door for Gambians to come in. So if any woman is interested to be candidate, we so much getting women participate because our research shows that with women are the strongest pillar in the Gambian economy. They shoulder the Gambian economy. That's why you heard me emphasizing the gender gap. We know exactly what women represent in the Gambia. But it has been a very rough one, tell you that. Initiating something, the night research, the traveling, meeting people, it was very difficult. So that was why some of them dropped. In fact, if you looked at the executive, there are 4 of them that are already there, but they are not active. You understand? So it's not that we don't want to put them in, but circumstances at the moment it's such that we just see these people here. Because this movement, what role you play depends on the level of commitment. You're not going to come over anybody and cry, please come and join. No. We call for meeting, you are there. We call for night research, you are there. You want to go out on a town, consultation or listening talk, you are there. And if somebody comes today and do more than what the guys are doing, you are up there and you clap for them. It's merit based. Yeah. So the last question the second question you talked about youths, and you say, and I love that, because the fact is when it comes to the way things are, when I say ontology, how to define what to define. Informal, nobody wants informal, the sect, the tailoring and the skill, because the way it's presented, what opportunities are there? Da ngaa xëy sa koñ nga gis ku dee dem office mu ngi am moto nga gis kuy dem ñëw amul oto amul dara da nga ko bëgg a def obviously you not. So suñ changee the economic context around the skills, I'm pretty sure demal yeneen dëkk yi skills is something that people want more than anyone, because I don't have to wake up in the morning 8 o'clock to sign a pen. I can sleep any time of the day and then I could go to my workshop and do what I do. But so nekkoon tey tayoor tey ma jox la exemple mu pick tayoor rek ñoom seen season bi yëpp Tabaski la ak lan ak Korité, parce que suma classe yi ñaari xaftaan laa dee am si at bi Tabaski bi Korité, so ñoom dañ dee am client rek su time boobu jotee su jotul duñu am client nga bëgg man ma def yëpp ñëw du ma ko def dama la ne demu but anytime conditions yi change ñu am policies guiding it, you have a lot of funds, they are there to help them. My friend, everybody would want, because we want to survive. We want to survive. That's the fact. So definitely decide bu nga xam ne ak gëstu bu nga xam ne li ñu jaaxal mooy dañuy ñaan yàlla rek li ñuy wax Gambien yi mun ko accept waaye li dëkk bi soxla pour dem lu ko ëpp move ci gàttal.
So in addition, I know time is against us, but then it's important we also inform you. We have made a lot of research. In one of the researches we made, we asked some youths some of the problems they face. And there was this recipe which we need to say. Somebody said, you are an electrician or you are a bricklayer or machine. You go to one of the constructed areas. You have a house, you are renting, you have families to take care of. They are paying you $600 or $500 per day. Now, you have to calculate this $500 if I pay transport fares to and fro and make other expenditures, take my breakfast, how much money am I going to left? Now, somebody who's not a citizen of this country, they are from other countries. They rent 2 rooms and a parlor, 8 of them. They contribute and pay. They don't have a wife. They don't have to spend outside. If you offer that person that $500, he owes it tax. So they have a challenge. An offer that they are always given, it does not meet their demands. So therefore, others who do not have other expenditures will have to take those people. So what is the role of the government? We have to protect our citizens. If you are not going to the farm, because we have not shown you the way as to why you should not go to the farm. If you are not going to the market, as he said, the informal sector are the nerves of this country. They are holding the economy. That guy in office, his salary is paid from the informal sector. The tax that are collected from the market. If I am an informal person and you tell me that you are the one paying the minister, then I'll be cut with my job. And that is the hard part, because Gambia is a tax-based economy. All our administrative jobs are being paid from the tax we collect, isn't it? So we need to understand some of these problems in the communities. And the point you raise has been discussed with youths, and then it's part of our problem that we're going to tackle if PNT comes into problem.
So the last question that he asked is important. I think to say whether we are just yes. I think when we started research before, and the objective then was just to see how best we can participate. Along the way, we've seen that the only solution to this is to get to town, be part of the people and then try to sensitize others. That is what like I said, we are not politicians, we are experts in different areas. But the reason why we talk about this is because we want to sift the mindset of Ghana. We want to sift the narratives. We are all in our comfort zones, thinking that this is enough, but it's not enough. So now we are going to, like we have alluded in our discussion, we are not here for the 2026 culture. We are here forever. We want to build an institution that can prepare our next generation to be very good especially for individuals. So that is why, even in fact, election is not what we're thinking of. We are interested in building information, making the Gambians and redefine development policy and politics for people to understand. These are our aspirations. So definitely, we are not here for any other to just catch us, for people to see us. But we are here. We are building something. You think if we were here just for this year, we would have done all these results? No. No. Then we were just going to get some lines and come out for people to recognize, but we've invested a lot of time in this. Imagine all the policy documents, all development that has ever been launched in the Gambia from 1965 to date, we've reviewed all. And for all, we have checked why it worked, why it did not work. You think we would have done all that work if we were just going to pass and go? We want to establish a political institution that is good enough to build leaders. Because the Gambia has everything it takes to be like any other country. You have to go there. And it has a title part and it has a fresh part. Some part is saline. We get the fish, but some part is fresh. Development, even when God says development is that's what he says. That development can only be from the land and the sea. The countries that do not have it, they say it's a tax base, like the UK. But in the Gambia, we have the land, we have the water. Why are we saying it's a tax based economy? It's a fantasy that we are here to fix.